So we're about to start the evening with only 7 minutes delay, given to traffic conditions. It's a full room, so that's great to see. My name is Toon Vanagt. My day job is as data.be, but I was recently appointed as the chairperson of our little non-profit called Fintech Belgium. So many thanks for the trust to everybody for the role. For those who've been to previous events, you know me as the moderator of our events, and I'll keep doing that with lots of pleasure. So tonight we have a very hot topic, as you can judge by the number of people in the room. We're going to be discussing AI, the buzzwords of the last few years. And so to open this event, I would like to invite on stage our host from Dell Technologies, so Koen Segers, who has promised me to keep it very short because we're going to go straight to the content.
Perfect, perfect. So welcome everyone, welcome at Dell Technologies, so welcome at our headquarters for Belgium. It's a great pleasure to welcome you, because actually there's a lot of things which are close to our heart. And first of all, is the fintech sector, is the financial sector. So I want to give a special welcome to some of our loyal customers here in the room. And secondly, AI, of course. You mentioned it's a buzzword. For us, it isn't. Recently, 3 weeks ago, I think it was, we had our Dell Technology World in Las Vegas, where we always do the big tech announcements. And Michael Dell, our CEO and chairman, made a big statement. He said, AI is like a train. So there's 2 things you can do with a train. You can be on the train, or you can watch the train passing by. But the only big difference with other technology trends is that this train is going very fast. The pace of innovation in AI is going so fast that it will be very difficult actually to catch up. And I think it's what we see at least happening at our customers. So I don't think it will be a surprise that AI is close to our strategy from Dell Technologies. Of course, we do many other things also in the financial sector. We support our customers with their workplace solutions, with their data center, with their integrations to clouds. But of course, AI is the very hot topic right now, together with the security part, where we also support our customers with cyber recovery solutions, taking into account the regulations. So that's what we do. So I'm very happy to host you here for the second time. This is the second time we host the event here. It's a cozy room, so it will get hot, but it's a hot topic. So welcome and enjoy the evening.
As I've seen the slides you'll be seeing tonight, I already know that Michael Dell has given a great opening for the Belfius slides, because there's something with trains and views and positions in there, so keep on that thought. So without further ado, Ronan, you're going to give us the intro for Dell on Content Matters, AI.
Thank you very much. My name is Ronan Carey. I'm very privileged to be here with you tonight in Brussels. I'm also very privileged to run Dell Technologies data and AI business here in EMEA. And today I'd like to share a little bit of insights about what we're doing in Dell Technologies as an organization. I think that might be more interesting than what we will try and sell to you. The second thing is I want to share some insights of what I've seen in the financial services industry. And that will be a deep dive into that, but we are going to explore some use cases later on in the presentation. But I'm going to take a big risk, and I'm going to start with a joke. You watch The Wolf of Wall Street? Sell me this pen. It's powered by AI. That's how people are selling at the moment. We've moved from an age of computation to an age of cognition. So machines have evolved from computing to thinking for themselves. We have passed the Turing test, and it's an incredibly exciting time in our industry. In Dell Technologies, we have a vision that we will create an organization empowered by AI that will replace the current Dell Technologies in 4 years. And we are aggressively pursuing that. We see this as an $11 trillion business, AI will deliver $11 trillion to the economy. We believe that Dell Technologies will look vastly different in what we do moving into that. We are embedding AI in our products, so you should expect that from every vendor. Everyone should be building AI capabilities into their products. We're running AI on our portfolio, so we're optimizing the infrastructures that we provide for our customers to run their AI on. We're integrating Dell Technologies with our customers and with client organizations. And you'll find a group of financial services industry professionals, you'll understand that there is not one organization or one part of an organization that can deliver AI outcomes. It's an ecosystem of partners and engagement. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. We are creating a broad ecosystem of technologies, and Dell Technologies have a big play around our infrastructure, but that's not where it ends. We're partnering with organizations around machine learning operations. We're partnering with organizations around the software there. And what's incredibly important, and a thing that I'd like to explore over the next few minutes with you, is understanding that this is about business outcomes. And organizations will invest in artificial intelligence to gain a business outcome. And we're going to talk a little bit about use cases that drive that. First one I wanted to explore with you, this is one that we're doing within Dell Technologies, is looking at documentation, synthesizing that documentation, creating new content with that. This is something that we explored very early within Dell Technology and is AI driven. We've looked at enhanced virtual assistants. We have many products that we sell within Dell Technologies. We have 7 brands of storage products. Can you believe that? When our sellers in Dell Technologies are asked to sell everything from the far edge through to the core, the laptops that you'll engage with your business on, the servers and storage and networking infrastructure will drive that. We're creating virtual assistants for our sellers to help them have enhanced conversations with their customers, and hopefully you can see how that might relate to the financial services industry. I think a big thing when I talk to organizations, Dell Technologies, we're a bank, not as big a bank as many of you here today. We're a bank nonetheless. We're also the 5th largest online retailer in the world. Did you know that? There you go. There's Amazon, there's a big drop off. We're there at number 5. We look at that in terms of fraud is a problem for us. Is fraud a problem for any of you guys here? Not admitting it. A few of you aren't admitting it. A few of you will admit it. I'll admit it. We implemented a pilot AI project for fraud detection at our point of sale for our online business. We saved $300 million in the first 6 months of last year. If I was able to say to you that we could reduce the fraud in your business and build an infrastructure that would help you reduce that fraud using generative AI, I think you might be interested in how we did it and how you might do that as well. And I'm really interested in personalized financial recommendations. I'm from a little place called Belfast, and I am ashamed to tell you that I have the same bank that I had when I was 5 years old and my mother opened an account for me. And they're objectively terrible at customer services. They're objectively terrible at understanding me as their customer. And hey, it's my inertia that stays there. But I think that the next evolution of what we can do in financial services is looking at hyper-personalization of what we do with our customers. These are some of the areas that we're discussing and delivering projects for some of our financial services customers. And I think that the way that I describe this is any idiot who doesn't speak Flemish or French can come and discuss what a use case for AI is. The difficult part is not finding a use case for AI. We can all find it within our businesses, right? I think the biggest challenge is understanding the commercial, the technical viability of these use cases and how they work. And in Dell, we have a feasibility criteria around the data inputs. Data is your differentiator as an organization. As financial services organizations, you hold a lot of data. There's a lot of insight within that. We look at what the business value might be and what the deliverables of the outcomes are. We talk about billion-dollar changes we can make to our business. That might be fraud prevention. That might be personalized tailoring to our client organizations. That might be looking at how we create documentation for the myriad of products that we have. We think about it in terms of business return. And this is the challenge that people face as they're implementing AI. Do we have the data? Is it technically feasible? Can we build the infrastructure to deliver that? And actually, the key thing, does it deliver back business value to ourselves and our customers? And I put down, I don't like to call things use cases. I think use cases, these are themes of AI: code generation, document augmentation, automation, digital assistants. They're themes of AI. What we're really interested in is what's the use case that delivers a business outcome to your organizations. And we have a great set of hardware, software, and services, notwithstanding the wide ecosystem that Dell operates within. We released recently with NVIDIA a Dell AI factory, and the concept of a factory is that it takes some inputs, it processes and creates some things, and the key thing is that it delivers out business value on the right-hand side there, where we talk about the use cases and what they deliver. That's underpinned by world-class infrastructure from Dell Technologies, an incredible ecosystem. We are, in Dell, our tenets of how we run our business are that we're open. We like open systems. We are silicon independent, although thanks to AMD for sponsoring us here tonight. And it's all underpinned by services that understand the business outcomes that we're trying to get to. And I truly believe that we're entering a new era of business, of life. I think that this is truly revolutionary as technology. And I'm ever an optimist. I think that it's going to make me and my teams incredibly productive in what we do. I think that the outcomes that we can deliver for our customers together are incredible. And I also think that there are a lot of challenges that we need to think about. There are areas such as the inherent bias that might be there, the data quality. I think that we as technologists must be custodians of our customers' data and what we deliver back to them for better outcomes for the world. And that is me for today. I'm delighted to present to you. I can't wait to speak to some of you after.
Thanks for sticking to the timing in the agenda. So that's the challenge for all the next speakers. Try to keep the 10 minutes. And Nicolas Vincent, he's from Sailpeak. He's going to speak about our first barometer. Months of work have gone into it. Several of you in financial services have contributed. You'll read about it in the press. You have Canal Z that did an interview this morning. Your favorite newspaper will report on it. So you're going to hear the scoop here tonight. Nicolas, review what you found in the first ever AI Barometer. Building up some suspense for you.
Thank you for bringing that. And we have some printed reports for you guys at the end of this session. There are a few available, so maybe we'll not have one for everyone, but come by me at the end during the session. So, incredibly excited to reveal the first AI barometer on financial services in Belgium. I am Nico. I'm the founder of Sailpeak. Sailpeak is a management consulting company. We support banks and insurance companies in their digital transformation in Belgium. Before that, I was at Google in Belgium and also PayPal in the UK and other companies before. Well, we spent some time in the last months interviewing the market. We went deep, first with a questionnaire. We collected the contribution from 17 institutions in Belgium. So that means 70% of the retail banking market, 70% of the insurance market, 60% of the wealth management market. And we asked the decision makers, some of the ones that you will see later on, about the adoption of AI within their companies. We followed up with interviews, in-depth interviews with 10 of them, and we revealed or extracted from that 5 use cases: collaboration between those institutions and the members of FinTech Belgium. Ecosystem is really important to us, as you know. And first, we started with this distinction between predictive AI and generative AI. Predictive AI is kind of a traditional AI; it's been around for quite some time. Generative AI is there since 2017, when Google created those transformers model, and then went into the hype and the general public with ChatGPT last year. And well, when we ask those decision makers about how they feel about Gen AI, well, they are overly enthusiastic. So it's not just a hype that you see in the newspaper, it's also in the corporate environment. When we look at the adoption of those technologies, not surprisingly, predictive AI is quite high. 90% of them already have deployed predictive AI. If you think about it, banks and insurance companies are, well, tech companies. They spend a lot of their cost in building and maintaining those systems. What is really interesting here is the penetration of Gen AI, but still in the early days. It's like the lab phase. We're in the Cambrian explosion where everything that happened in the lab, it's about innovation, and we see some of those applications being deployed. Of course, the objective for them, the benefits that they expect is automation, productivity, but also personalization, customer experience. So if we dig deeper into marketing and customer service, what you see on the right-hand side on the generative AI columns is customer service chatbots. They are really high in terms of pilots, penetration of pilots. But also we see some of them started to be deployed as well in some narrow environment. But you can expect that in the next few months, quarters, and years, those chatbots, useless chatbots on websites and apps will become really important and useful. If you look at the back, the operations in banking and insurance, what was interesting to me here is to see the level of penetration in terms of pilot within the insurance sector, specifically underwriting and claims management. And when you think of it, those players in insurance are still spending a lot of time processing paper, processing claims that are not digital, and therefore they probably see a lot of potential boost in terms of productivity by applying Gen AI to those parts of the process. When you look at CIB, so investment banking and wealth management, well, in Belgium is not that developed, but you can see that it's more like a one-on-one relationship, it's more white glove services, so you get a bit less adoption of Gen AI. Wealth management, mostly in the robo-advisory, how do you add Gen AI on top of the existing predictive AI to boost the performance of those advices. And interesting to note the coding part. What we see is a lot of them are investing in coding. Gen AI is particularly useful when it comes to assist developers with the coding development, and therefore they are all or most of them piloting and already deploying those assistants in the IT department. So you can expect the pace of development in those banks really accelerate in the next few months, quarters, and years. The roadblocks, data. Data is the lifeblood of AI, and you see that data privacy, data security is very important. Well, this is a highly regulated business, think of GDPR, etc. But also you can see that the quality becomes more and more and more important. the availability as well. A bit further down this list, you can see the lack of skilled personnel, experts, people that can really drive AI within the corporation. And what we see is, very interestingly, a third of them already have in place an AI competence center, an expert team working specifically on AI. And what is also very interesting is more than 40% of them are in the process of developing those experts teams. So by the end of the year, you can expect that 80% of them will have a center of expertise around AI. So they are all aligning resources and investment to really benefit, take that wave, as we said earlier, and benefit from this technology. Well, in terms of how they organize, centralized versus decentralized, there's no right or wrong answer. It's about how you feel, how you are organized. Are you a subsidy of a larger group, etc.? But you can see more details in the report when you have it in your hands. Interestingly, when we talked with Fidelfin Academy, they recently surveyed the people that they train. Fidelfin Academy trained people from the banks and insurance companies, and they surveyed more than 1,300 people about the usage of AI. And well, 70% of them were barely using AI. The reason why, plenty of reasons, but in my opinion, the reason is those technologies are not available yet. You cannot access ChatGPT or Gemini via your corporate laptop because there are firewalls that keep you from doing it, and rightly so, because as we've seen, security, confidentiality is key. So you don't want your employees to actually disclose some data out there. This is going to be a challenge for those banks and insurance companies, because how do you put this technology in the hands of all the employees in the organization? A bit like we did at the late 90s, early 2000s with the internet, when we rolled out internet in all the desktops and then the laptops of those institutions. The Risk AI Act, you're probably all aware about this risk-based pyramid. The AI Act has been published recently, this month, and will come into play in the next few quarters and years. And what we see is those banks and insurance companies are pretty positive about it when it comes to capturing the responsibility part, the ethics part. And what is also interesting to see is, although there are still some uncertainties about how this act will apply in practice, they still invest. They believe that even though there are some uncertainties, it was the risk to invest because the money, the pot of gold is so big at the end. Some keywords that are becoming important when it comes to ethics and regulation. It's explainability, interpretability of the models. It's about the biasness, fairness, and it's about the discrimination. And we'll probably see in the next edition of this barometer that these keywords will become even more important further down the line. Voilà. Next is, and finally, the collaboration. The pace of innovation is really, really fast. So how do you capture this innovation? Do you make? Do you buy? And collaboration here is key. How do you collaborate with the fintech ecosystem, the startup and scale-ups? Most of them are pretty positive about them. Most of them are pretty positive about partnering with startups. They are conscious about the fact that it's not always easy to partner with startups and vice versa, right? But still, what we've seen is that by asking the members of Fintech Belgium, we disclosed 5 use cases that you can see in the report. Very interesting cases In the beginning, we wanted to display 3 cases, and eventually decided to put forward 5. Very diverse, from the mailing room to the risk models to the collaboration in open finance. So go and have a look at them. And we are lucky that we are going to have some of them on stage today. Voilà, I would like to thank FinTech Belgium. I would like to thank specifically Alessandra, Bjorn, and Jeff. And I would like to thank the people that contributed to this report. And well, I engage you to take your phone and scan it and access the report digitally. Voilà.
That's great.
Thank you so much. Enjoy the evening.
Big thank you for the great insights. I'm not going to stand in front of the QR code. I'm going to leave it under. For those who are going to be out of the room by the time you really are there's a copy for most of you. So stay seated a little more. As I said before, the predictive model, you start feeling it, right? The heat is going up. I'm going to add a little bit more. Our next speaker is the case that Nico just showed, which is the case of Discai with Gheerardyn. So this is a really hands-on case of how to fight financial crime with the use of AI. And you're going to start stripping. Oh wow, that's a first. Woo-hoo. This is adding a special note to the evening. I'm gonna get you the microphone you would like to use for that. I don't know where you're gonna put it now because it's gonna hang on your vest anyway. Go ahead.
Basically, does that work? Yeah, still here. I always try when I start to do a presentation to do something fancy to draw your attention, but I will stop here if you. So.
I'm not sure it works. I'm asking people in the back of the room. No, they say no. So I'm very sorry. You're gonna have paper in one hand, the mic in the other.
Okay. Do you hear me now?
Yes.
No, I really obliged to stop here in this phase of addressing. So first of all, thank you for being present and to listening to my story. You'll see I'm alone. I should have been here with my customer, the CRO of Gheerardyn. So I'll take the advantage to take a little bit more time myself and explain a few things. So my name is Fabrice Deprez. I'm managing Discai. In a nutshell, Discai is the subsidiary of the KBC group. So we are not a simple fintech in the sense of we do everything by ourselves. Basically, we commercialize the AI solution that has been developed by KBC and has a real advantage and has proven added value already at several banks and are now commercialized through Discai. So the case of Gheerardyn is, as I would say, a second or third case that we're already implemented. Now, before I dig into the details, I need to explain you a little bit what I will be talking about. So the subject that we try to cover, or we cover with our solutions, is around anti-money laundering. So we are really digging into the details of the bank. Anti-money laundering is a fight against money laundering, it's a fight against criminality. Now, why is it so important? Why did we invest into that? And why banks like Gheerardyn is trusting us into that? Is because the problem is becoming gigantic, right? You really need to understand for the people that are not familiar with money laundering or anti-money laundering is the biggest part of criminal behavior in the end always come back to black money that needs to be widened. A very famous one that invented is Al Capone in the 1900s, where it started to do professionally. And really, it's there starting to do money laundering through laundering structures. Really funny, but it's still the case. Now, the problem has become so big that we made a calculation with other organizations that if we would solve the money laundering problem into the world, we would basically eradicate all the lack or the financial lacks in the budget of different countries. Because the problem is that big that it covers the same problem, right? Now, one thing is the financial part. Second thing, of course, there are regulators now. And regulators, of course, are putting rules to the banks that need to be followed in order to drive the money laundering aspect. The result of that is it generates a huge workload onto the banks. They need to do a manual process, they need to check if the organization are following the rules and filtering the transactions. That's one risk. The second risk, of course, if they're not following, they're not doing what they should have done, they can get fines. There are some famous fines from ING, sorry for people from ING in the room. Last fine was 720 million fine. We are talking every time hundreds of millions of fines if they don't comply with the rules that we should have done. So there is the lack of the risk of penalties. Finally, there is also a reputational risk. If you look at some runaways that happened on the bank recently, a bank that got in big troubles I'm thinking about KDFs and so on, these banks just fail at one point because they have a bad reputation, and customers, when something goes wrong, run away from that, which is called run away from that, right? So all these things are really pushing the bank to invest into that. Now, to understand better, you also need to understand how the process is. What does a bank need to do? A bank needs to filter every transaction that goes through their books, and a transaction is a simple payment. Is when you go to a shop, you buy something. When you do a deposit on your accounts, when you take cash out of an ATM, all these transactions are filtered by a simple system that says an if then else. If a transaction is above 2,000 euro at 3 o'clock in the morning, you will get a call from your bank the day after, because you will have to explain why you did that. Imagine for a bank like the KBC Group, we are generating around 1.6 billion transactions a year. Out of that, 160,000 transactions need to be audited manually on a daily basis, right? So 160,000 transactions, when you know that the transaction takes between 2 to 4 hours to evaluate, you can multiply and imagine the workload that it generates. And out of that, with that process, they are just able to find around 10% of the money laundering that goes to their books. So they do spend a lot of money, really a lot of money, for big or just small international governments, still taking a huge risk to get a penalty because they didn't do what they should have done. So if you take all that, well, you just realize that technology is obsolete, and you need to find something else. And of course, AI is supporting, automating process, gets something that the human brain can't do it at the same speed, right? So that's what we have been developing. We have been developing a solution which is looking to every single person in multiple angles. Meaning, are you doing what you are expected to be doing? Are you doing something that looks like a money laundering in the past? Are you connected with somebody who's doing all the money laundering? So please call your families, because if somebody is doing it, your score is increasing as well. And that is the best way to attack. So we are looking at every individual in multiple angles, and we are generating profiles of every single individual on this 365 days behavior of last year, right? So we're not taking one transaction, and do we see if that transaction is basically a wrong transaction? No. Did you do that transaction in the past? Did you do it multiple times? Is it okay? Yes or no? Just to give you a simple example. 2 persons in the evening are doing deposit of 2,000 cash at 2 o'clock in the morning in the bank automat, right? 2 persons. One is a bartender, and he's doing it every evening, and he's depositing that money into the ATM every time at 2 o'clock in the morning. Well, because he just closed his bar. And the amount is 1,500, 2,000. It's always in the same area. There is a logic to that. And then there's another person, these are fintech people, is the owner of a car wash center, and he's depositing 2,000 euro on the same bank automat, but 2 hours later he's depositing 3,000 euro in Antwerp. 2 hours later he's depositing 1,500 euro in Ostende. Basically, this is really what is happening. Those 2 people have the same alert at the start, but one is totally logic and shouldn't be looked at. The only one has to be looked at. So that's the solution. This is what we have been implemented for Gheerardyn, and we are supporting them. Now, I'm not going to give these statistics because basically they give the same story as we're just giving the barometer. Apologies on that. So as you can comply that, first of all, data is a major problem because the few banks have really reliable data. We see that all the banks, 80% of the banks confirm absolutely they need to invest into AI. The other thing is, well, very often is not all banks really understand what AI can do, how far it can go, and especially how dangerous it is or not dangerous it is, right? Because in AI, you see a lot of cases in commercial size. But you see very few cases when you go to compliance. Now, what is that linked to is the explainability. You need to be explaining why the person that 2,000 euro in his bar is depositing, and that one you don't need to investigate. But the other one you have to investigate. So we go to explainability. Then you go to the AI Act. So understanding in the end. Make AI not the big bad guy. Don't make it Terminator. I recently gave a presentation also with another person. He was a professor of the University of Antwerp. His last slide was Terminator. He said, in 30 years, Terminator will be there. Well, we are not there yet, right? So understanding is also the next big problem, big thing we need to do. This one I will skip, because I think that my time will be closed. If you need to go to a case, I would go to all the details, what we did and how we did it, but I think I tried to give you a picture until now. But if you want to start an AI project, you need to do a step-based approach. And this is what we are doing now with Crayon. This is what we are. We started initially with a pilot, like every bank is doing a pilot, right? So you take the data, you take your model, you train your model, you get results, you test that result, and you get a certain evaluation out of that. Now, when we launched the company 2 years ago, we thought, with the results, every bank will jump on it. Because there is no solution like that in the market. There's no solution proven. There's no solution that has been reviewed by the regulator, and so on and so on. But still, it takes so much time. Because one, even if you have a very good solution, very good pilots, there are two major elements that you need to look at. First of all, is get the trust of your organization to trust the solution, understand the solution. Why is the solution giving you a certain results? Then, secondly, the solution needs to be embedded into your organization. Use it, trust it. And that comes with the second phase, is take the solution and integrate it automatically into your system and give your organization the time to understand what it does and how it does it. This is the phase where we are with Krilla. So we made the pilots. The pilot was very successful. We were able to increase the efficiency. So we reduced the workload. We were able to increase the effectiveness. We found cases that they never found, right? But now they said, okay, in order to be able to use it, we need to use that simple model. We integrate that into our organization, and we streamline our process. Because indeed, data is a burden. So please understand that the data is a burden, and even if you solve it once, 6 months later it will become a new burden. Why? Because the data quality is dropping all the time. So what we are doing now is the first year of turning the solution into a semi-operational mode, meaning running the data every 2 weeks, training the models, generating the models, running the case, testing the one, getting trust on that, and then put it in place. Next phase that we hope to start with that, and as soon as we will add additional model, be more efficient, be more effective, and then move to the next step. Why it takes time? The data, the trust, and then especially the regulator, right? We may not do anything like we want. We need to prove. We need to get the regulator to start trusting the AI. Into commercial, it has no impact, right? If you do a model that doesn't have better customer segmentation, that doesn't impact in any way your trustability of the market. If you start working on the people that you report to the regulator and it goes into all directions, that's not a problem. And then the last thing, sounds a strange view, right? One thing is also that I wanted to close with is, when you start having your data on a customer, you start looking at your customer in multiple angles, because it starts with understanding what he does and how he does it. I think that does it still work? Yeah? Yes, it works. As from the moment you have a good picture of your customer, you can look at your customer in multiple angles. Is the customer reliable? Not only on money laundering, but on fraud. Is that person susceptible to doing fraud cases toward our customer? You also want to understand, well, that guy is not a bad guy, but maybe that person could be at risk of being attacked. So there's a fraud perspective. It's basically the same data. It's understanding who it is and looking at the person in a different angle. So the roadmap that we're bringing to all the banks is, once you have the data and you have the technology, you can look at all the different angles of financial criminality. And this is where generally the market is evolving. Use AI to better understand your customer, spend less time in calling the customer, knowing the customer, but have a real picture. Do we need to be protected from the customer, or do we need to protect the customer from other customer, or do we need to protect the customer or the government from the customer? In a nutshell, that's what we try to do, and that's what Crayon is evolving towards.
Thanks for this, Fabrice. You all know you came to a hot topic. We start feeding 2 more talks, and then we have a panel. So keep the questions for the panel. I'm going to invite Diane and Crispin on stage. This is I'm going to let you introduce each other while I set the scene, so you can have a nice chat here. So, one microphone, one clicker.
Go ahead. We're improvising. Go
This
ahead.
is what happens when there's two.
I'm going to give you a second one.
So, hello everyone, Diane Nolan from Intelli-Select, and I'm absolutely delighted to be here with our dear client, Clearstream Banking Luxembourg, represented here by Crispin Searle, who is the product lead for collateral management. Now, I appreciate that there's quite a lot of technology people in the room, but you obviously have a clear interest in financial services. I don't know if you know who Clearstream are, so just as a means of explanation, introduction, they are a very, very large international central securities depository. They have about 17 trillion assets under custody, and they handle approximately 6.4 million transactions a month. So you can imagine they're working, they're a financially important institution, and they are obviously very, very interested in working with 1000% explainable AI, which is where we come in. I don't know, Chris will explain a bit more later. First of all, am I on? Yes, I am. Okay, good. Just as a means of introduction to Intelli-Select and where we operate. So we firmly believe in fit-for-purpose AI. I mean, we heard earlier from Ronan and others that there are lots of different types of AI, and you are all probably been working with and over the years, looked at the likes of statistics, analytics, predictive, prescriptive, and now generative AI. So what I haven't heard in the dialogue today so far is, that focus on logic and old school AI. Because for those of you, again, who are working in the sector, you will know that AI is a broad term, and also now legislatively, under the EU AI Act, it covers much more than predictive and generative and everything that we're talking about so far. This is where we come in. We've had the pleasure of working with Clearstream since 2021, and essentially we have been focused on providing solutions, business solutions, which enable business users, to make important decisions with very, very important financial impacts. And for that obviously needs to be, as I said, bulletproof, right? And so we are working with a next generation of AI techniques in automated reasoning, in the knowledge domain, which again, areas which some of you go, old school business rules, no, it's not. It's actually something which has really evolved quite substantially. And we have partnered with our R&D university to essentially develop a new techniques in this space. So we work with again, automated reasoning patterns as well as predictive patterns, and we also work a little bit with generative AI, but more for actually improving those techniques rather than generating results with a level of improbability. So just to demonstrate and illustrate the area that we're working in, I can't see that far because I'm -12, but you probably can't either because it's tiny. But basically, this is a fantastic partner report about generative AI, and it basically says the areas where we are focused, which is in decision management and forecasting simulation. For these areas, generative AI is actually not the best suited technique to use, right? So this is why, as I said, we focused on the other areas. So what does Intelli-Select do? We are focused in the capital markets industry simply because of also our industry expertise and background. And we have produced solutions, and one of the first ones, which is an AI solution in production, being used by clients, is essentially a solution called Oscar. It is for, okay, this is going to get a little bit technical, it's for contract management for collateral. Yeah. So essentially you have to agree a whole bunch of terms. In the olden days, before Intelli-Select, you would have people who'd be negotiating over 6 to 9 months sometimes, lots of back and forth of emails, lots of other sort of mechanisms along the way, which meant this whole process was not automated and not bulletproof. We have essentially developed a platform which allows clients to go from that 6 to 9 month time frame to essentially agreeing on terms in, technically speaking, minutes, technically speaking. They don't all do it, but technically they can. So the core of Oscar and Intelli-Select is Intelli-Core, which is the platform which we've used for a number of solutions. We'll talk a little bit more about that. So again, Oscar, I've explained a little bit what it's about, but it's explainable live, fully bulletproof in terms of decisions and outcomes and data, because we use actually data affirmation by users along the way to confirm decisions and predictions that are made by the model and the solutions. It's been essentially the core, I would say, use case to prove Intelli-Core as a platform. We're now looking to develop a bunch of other solutions. You've got Thrive, which is for other legal contracts. You've got Invest, which is for retail investments. You've got a bunch of them, basically Predict and next generation collateral as well. So these solutions are and have been based on, as I said, Intelli-Core, and we couldn't have got that far in evolving with our technology without the trust and the partnership with Clearstream, which is why we're here together today. We're going to talk we are developing further features. Sorry, I will eventually. We're developing further features on Oscar. We're now working towards something called Trade Proposer. And that essentially, it uses, again, AI techniques to identify potential candidates for which you can contract, with and against, that you would not otherwise know, right? So we are actually, and I think the core of what Oscar and Intelli-Select does is it's actually building a solution that is generating business value for Clearstream and for its customers, and ultimately for the industry, because things can get done a lot faster, but also you can actually find new clients, new counterparts, and as a result, gain more revenues ultimately. Maybe moving on, and to give Chris the mic.
Yeah, go
on. So, as I said, our solutions have been based on generating value for Clearstream and for other future customers, if anyone around the room is interested. But I think people would be interested in learning a bit, Chris, about how does a big organisation like Deutsche Borse Group work with the fintech? How did you manage to get the agreement to work with us?
Yeah, I think, it wouldn't be a surprise to anyone that, an organisation like Clearstream, we're part of the Deutsche Borse Group.
Closer.
Yeah, sorry.
That's great.
An organisation like Clearstream, part of the Deutsche Borse Group, we have a lot of kind of processes and procedures to follow, and we can't really avoid that. And part of this can be regulatory, and I think if we were to do this kind of application within those procedures, it would never happen. And working with a fintech like Intelli-Select has been very rewarding for us and and for our customers, because a lot of the points that Diane was talking about, I used to sell to our customers and say, look, this is the advantage you're getting, the value you're getting. But we're much more agile. We can pivot much quicker in the development, come up with new requirements. Now, on the other side, we suffer from that a little bit because, we're kind of outside the normal project structure within Clearstream, and that means that kind of sometimes we're going to want people who are not part of the process to do things, and then getting them to actually do that when they're not officially assigned can be quite challenging, but we manage to eventually.
Thanks, Chris.
I'm going to have to step in, take the mic, and make an announcement. I know we're going to fight about it. I have great news. You're part of the panel.
Oh, yeah.
So there's more time after this, and that's my one job tonight. I have to be the tough 10-minute guy.
Okay.
So big thanks. We love to have fintechs and large customers on stage. We'll hear more about this later, and ask you to leave with love. Because next up is the bank that made love into its baseline. You all know which bank that is? Which one?
Belfius!
Yeah, there you go. So Jonathan Neubourg, who's going to take us through 40 slides in 10 minutes. No, don't start laughing. He's going to deliver. And remember that little movie you saw? So we're hanging in there. 40 slides, buckle up, and we have the panel. All yours.
Thank you. I'm just,
Yeah, it should be on. Just press one.
all right.
Yeah,
Working. So my 10 minutes only start now.
yes, they do.
So I put love on the first slide, so we had that, so I don't need to come back to it. I always like to start with the app, and you were probably all wondering, like, why the hell does it talk about an app on a presentation of AI? I think it a little bit reflects the journey we did over the past 10 years. Because when I joined Belfius, we just came out of bankruptcy after the financial crisis. And if you see how it evolved, you see the steep path we went through over the past 10 years. And I think one of the things that fascinates me a lot is that what we were up against over the past 5 to 10 years will not be the same as what we're up against as from today. If you see like the number of competitors, they changed radically. And the expectations that our customers are more or less demanding from us, they are no longer influenced, no, not solely, because I see my colleagues here from other banks, but also from another bunch of companies. And I think we did quite well in what, let's say, the first wave of digital, and I always use the same like sort of expression. And I think the ones of you that take a train regularly, you know the feeling when you're sitting on a train and you get a distinct idea you're moving forward, but actually it's a train moving in the opposite direction. Actually, you need to be German to invent a word like this, because that's actually the only language that has a word for it. But I think the metaphor is quite speaking.
I'm going to kick in 1 second. That's the password to make sure you get your AI Barometer. So hang on to it, right? That's where we're going.
Or you get access to the barbecue. But I think it's really the metaphor that keeps you going is we could like just sit back, we have a nice app, we have a nice digital offering, but I think sometimes you don't even have to do anything wrong to lose. And I think Nokia was one of those examples where somehow they lost without doing anything wrong. They just didn't invent as well as the others did. And I truly believe that everything digital is only starting right now. I think we've seen a lot over the past years, but actually it's all happening all at once. And I think Gen AI in particular is something like where you get a feeling nothing happens, and then all of a sudden everything is happening at once. And it's a bit like the quote of Hemingway, it's like, how did you go bankrupt? It's gradually and then suddenly. And I think Gen AI has been since 2014 or something, it's been really gradually moving along and coming along. I think most of you remember 2016, which was one of those aha moments when DeepMind played a Chinese bloke and beat him on Go. But it actually was only in 2023 that like all of a sudden everything went wild and kept coming. And if you see like the time it took to get to 1 million users, if you compare that to Facebook, to Twitter, to others, the time is just mind-blowing. ChatGPT. I think we all know the gimmick words. Even the Catholic Church is now using AI and avatars to do its services in the US. But there's also the serious side to it. And I went to a hospital a few weeks ago and I saw oncologists using Gen AI basically to better assess and detect brain tumors, which is quite mind-blowing if you see, if you're speaking about error margins in transaction monitoring in AML, then you know what they're against. So I always started to wonder, like you guys, fintech Belgium, what is the impact for Belgium? And if we look a bit back to the past, and especially e-commerce or digital, we didn't fare quite well. I mean, we sort of missed the train. If you look like the number of AI patents registered, you see EU and UK, we're not massively outnumbering the competition. And in Gen AI, everything is about LLMs, the large language models, basically the brain of AI. And if you go look into some large language models that are out there today, if you take a look at the companies that are invested in it, it is big business. And it is predominantly US and predominantly big tech. And again, it is like also a sort of two world syndrome. You got the left and you have the right side. And for every AI company, or at least companies that pretend they are very well in AI, there is a Chinese equivalent. And it's a complete different world, complete different ecosystem. And again, one thing that stands out is that the EU is falling hopelessly behind. And if you put it on, like you map a little bit the trends or the technologies where they're leading, it's sad to say that I think regulation will be likely the only thing we're exceeding the others in. And it's not only about AI, it's also, if you look to banking and the financial sector, JP Morgan has almost 4,000 vacancies mentioning AI live. That's about the size of the headquarters of Belfius. So imagine what they are capable if they go abroad to the US, which they are already doing de facto. I think there are examples. Mistral is one of those examples. For the ones you know it, it's one of our European flagships in AI. We decided, and we announced it last week, to take part in their latest funding round to really help cement a basis for AI in Europe, and also, as I think Mel was mentioning before, try to form partnership and allegiances to just speed up AI. Because what's the impact for Belfius? And I didn't want to go into too much use cases because I think we had a few presentations before and I didn't want to overlap too much. But I was more focusing on the transformation it will do to Belfius as a company. And I think what we did until now was digitization. And then take, for example, the car insurance. The car insurance of yesterday, still the same one we do today. We just packaged it a little bit different, and we put it into a mobile app, but nothing really changed. I think with the AI, what we're seeing is that technology is fundamentally changing. If you see some of the examples, and I'd say some of them are really gimmicky, but I think if you take a look at it, whether it's the AI Pin, the Rabbit, the Vision Pro, they have one thing in common. It's basically the capability to render technology invisible. And it will have an impact on the way we shop, but also the way we work. And I think that's one of the things that fascinates me, because I do believe we talk a lot about LLMs and data and tech stacks and the cloud and whatever. But for me, I think the biggest gain with AI will be with the people. And I mean really the people that implement it. And I have a centralized AI department with a lot of brilliant people that are developing all these use cases. But I also mean every employee of Belfius, like the full 10,000 employees, putting AI and Gen AI in their hands and making them use it will be the big game changer in the future. And I always call it like, how can we remove the 4 ugly hours of the week? And we all know the 4 ugly hours is the things you have to do, but it's like Friday afternoon off. Yeah, we'll still do it. And I think there are a few things, and I think someone mentioned it, and we implemented quite early our own Belfius GPT, which is integrated within the firewall, in which we can also plug multiple LLMs, whether it's OpenAI's or Mistral's, which we are also now basically allowing people to upload documents so they can chat with their own documents, chat with their own data and documentation. I think that's one of the first things to put AI into the hands of everyone. And again, it's about evangelization, but it's also about prompt training, because prompts are really, it's not a skill, it's an art. You really need to form them to get the best results. I mean, you should take the time to create your own video through Sova or whatever. If you don't give the right prompt, whatever is coming out is pretty much shit. So you really need to train and develop the whole company with it. I think code automation was mentioned as well, and it's one of the things that's running in my teams. And if you see the efficiency gain we can do with Copilot, with coding Copilot, that's quite huge. And there is a lot of Copilots depending on whatever technology stack you're using or whatever coding language. One of the ones I have running within my teams is the GitHub Copilot, which basically enables developers to troubleshoot their code. It auto-completes code, and it gives just a massive shift in performance. And another one we implemented at this point, and which we are using with quite a few people, is a Microsoft Copilot. And again, I think it's a buy versus build story, because a lot of things we are building ourselves, but some of the things is just stupid to build yourself, because I mean, when it's integrated within the Microsoft stack and you can just use it off the shelf, there is no point in starting to develop it yourself. And so that's basically what we are trying to do with our team. Because I think in the end, yes, we are a bank, and yes, we have love in our baseline, which I graciously mentioned on the first slide. But I think towards the future, we are all, whether we like it or not, evolving a bit more to a tech company. And there will be the key difference between those that survive and those that still lag behind. Because if you take a look at whether it's the Fortune 500, the S&P 500, I think nearly half of the companies that were there before the digital transformation are not there anymore, or don't exist anymore. And I believe after the AI transformation, it will be exactly the same. Whether it's banks, whether it's insurers, whether it's car manufacturers, it will be exactly the same. How did I do in my 10 minutes?
Exactly 10 minutes. That deserves a great round of applause, everybody. Well delivered. And great intro to the seats. I'm going to invite our speakers that we had to also take a seat, because we're going to move straight into the panel to respect the times. I'm going to invite Anthony Belpaire on stage 2. And introduce yourself. I'm going to get the second mic, and I'm going to introduce you right after. You moved to BNP Paribas recently, so tell us about that.
Yes, just moved 6 weeks ago to BNP Paribas, and my previous job was 10 years at Google. So from big tech towards a bank with an aspiration to be a bit of a big tech.
And for those who are older, we also know you from Advalvas a really long time ago.
Oh yeah, let's not go into that.
Then we have Yields. If you can pass the microphone and explain what Yields does and what you think about the AI things you've heard so far.
Well, hi, my name is Jos Gheerardyn. I'm the CEO of Yields. We are an AI risk management company. We used to be a model risk management company. That evolves over time. And yes, it's great to see all those use cases, see all the ideas that are coming out, and yes, obviously, I obviously see also all the risk that is associated to using those AI use cases.
Great, thanks for that. And Chris, I'm going to ask you to maybe quickly tell, because you didn't have much time before, a little bit about Clearstream and how it was about working with a fintech. That's what we're here for, to hear about those good collaborations.
Yeah, so I mean, basically, I think in coming up with a product which is kind of works for our customers and using these new techniques, it's been really fantastic, and kind of we've been able to be much more flexible than we would have been if we'd done it internally, or if we'd used kind of maybe a bigger provider. And we've really come up with a partnership. So we've been working together on solutions, coming up with those solutions. And it was very important that who we're working with, had the industry knowledge to be able to kind of like work equally with us in what we're doing.
Great. Now, start thinking about questions, because I want this to be really interactive after you've been listening for the last hour. As you can see, this is not a cheap way of us trying to fix our gender balance issue tonight. Unfortunately, we had a female speaker who cancelled this afternoon. So, but we can ask questions, and we have a human-computer interface called Tom that will speak to Andy, our chatbot on the other side. So the first person can come up with a prompt, because we've heard how craftily you should make those, and then we can hear what Andy has to say while everybody thinks about deeper questions that you want to get. So go ahead. Who wants to give the prompt? You can make it poetic. You can make it technical. Come on, you've all been doing this all day long. There we go.
Time is it on the North Pole?
Sorry, what time?
What time is it on the North Pole?
Well, first, have you introduce yourself? Hey, Andy, can you please introduce yourself to the audience of FinTech Belgium?
Sorry, I'm being a bad host here.
Hello, FinTech Belgium. I'm Andy, a digital human created for Dell Technologies. I'm here to chat about Dell solutions and the future of technology. It's great to virtually meet all of you.
Hey, Andy, somebody wants to know what the time is at the North Pole. Can you give real-time data for that?
I don't have real-time data for the North Pole, but I can help with information about Dell Technology solutions.
Well, Andy, she's hired, that's for sure now. Great demo. We're going to move back to that. Anyway, we'll remember this one. Good question. It was an unscripted one, so we love those here. Do we have more unscripted questions, but for our human experts proving that they know what it's all about? Come on, I have one in the back already. Let's get going.
It's Jeremy from Safe Transactions. Will somebody using cash in 2 or 3 years' time automatically be criminalized by AI? Whoever wants to answer.
Jonathan seems to want to.
Who wants to?
Handing out the mic to someone who wants to.
You're using your Joker card already, guys?
Oh, no, okay, who wants to take it?
I will take it.
Thank you very much for that.
I think cash will always be there. I mean, if you look in Belgium, I think what the big banks are doing right now is to do it together, come up with smarter ways, so not everyone needs to manage these ATMs and whatever together. I think we will never accept as a society in Europe to be fully cashless and to be 100% governed, even with ledgers and digital euros and whatever. So I don't think, and there's a part of the population that we know who prefer cash and not necessarily for criminal reasons, just because of habit, because they preference. So, and again, I think the use case of Discai AI perfectly shows it. People like in a bar, they prefer to, some people prefer to pay cash. And I think what AI is allowing us now is to basically screen the ones that are doing it with some more darker reasons and more easily get them out of the system, whether before with manual checks and whatever, it was much more complicated. But I never believe in Europe we will arrive in a situation where cash will be banned or whoever uses cash. I mean, there's also other currencies like gold and etc. will not get rid of that out of the system, I believe, in the next 50 to 100 years.
We're going to leave it at that. Clearstream is not using cash. So I'm going to go to the next question. So who has the next question? If you have a question, you introduce your name and to whom you ask it. Go ahead.
Also, the Rita FDW consult, it's to the panel in general. We have seen quite a lot of applications, amongst others, from Discai about AML. Amongst the corporates, a large burden is the KYC. Do you see there opportunities of artificial intelligence to speed it up and facilitate this process?
I didn't even pay you for that question. Good to know. Who wants to take this? Yeah? Intelli-Select, or you want to talk about the Clearstream? Go ahead.
I'm not an expert on this, but I think what I would say is it probably will be helped by AI. But of course, all of the processes are driven by the data, so you still have to provide the same data, just maybe in a more automated way.
I just want to respond to that.
I was just going to add that Yeah, I mean, you'll always have this burden, but some of the processes around it can be alleviated, like the contracts that you have to sign or information you have to provide in official forums and stuff like that. And of course, Intelli-Select has a solution for that called Scribe, which essentially allows banks or any other institution that has, for the same clients, a multiplicity of forms to fill in and asking over and over again the same information. They actually have a centralized way of actually cross-checking and cross-pollinating that information through one single AI solution.
Anthony, go ahead. Yeah, I think depends on the scope of KYC, but if you have, for example, in the KYC flow also the need to recertificate if someone can represent the company or is the signature has the signature power for certain transactions. Typically, it's more challenging within a bank to really have the use of customer data. But if you look towards the monetary bulge and applying large language model technology in order to just understand what is in the monetary bulge and who is exactly representing now that company, can be perfectly automated.
Just add something to that, on the yield side.
Well, maybe one side remark when we are using Gen AI models, for instance, to summarize text. Obviously, a clear challenge is always to try to detect when the summary that is being generated is actually correct, yes or no. And of course, as we are automating more and more, in the beginning, I would assume that it's kind of natural for the person who is operating the AI system to kind of manually check or from time to time check at least before signing off. After a while, that might become a little bit harder. And so identifying, so if I was talking about AI risk management, then it's also about trying to somehow detect when those issues happen and have the right processes in place in an organization to actually deal with that risk exactly. So irrespective of the use case, there will always be this type of requirements. And as Jonathan mentioned, in the EU, we are probably leading only in regulation. Now, AI risk management, it's of course in part driven by regulation. You have the EU AI Act. However, actually, it should be driven by best practice engineering. You want to detect this when it happens, not because regulators are stupid, because you want to improve the business.
Just a remark on regulation, because it can be also a little bit kind of different view. So it's true that probably Europe is the best exporter of regulation to the world. But on the other hand, if you look towards the AI Act, there's lots of positive things there. And the worst thing that can happen is that somebody screws up and that the trust in all this type of technology just goes down. And so we are really welcoming the AI Act. It's probably a little bit like a fitness. So you don't enjoy going to the fitness because it will be sweaty and it will be hard. But the good feel is after the fitness. And so that's why the AI Act is something that we rather see very positive.
Right, Brent Decker. The question is mostly for the two banks, but happy to have the other ones as well. We've spoken about the utility of AI on the internal side of things. I'd love to hear about more of the AI seeing customer side at maybe a bit of a soft wall.
I think if you look to the big four banks in Belgium, one of the complaints, if you go look on social media or on whatever all these review sites, will be accessibility. I mean, the fact that branches are closing down, that contact centers are not easily to get into. I think there is an enormous opportunity with Gen AI. If you see the evolution, even from, let's say, GPT-4 until the latest one that came out, and the way it uses also emotion and understands even sarcasm, etc. Now you really see the path going open for voice bots, etc., and really helping to reply to easy questions, and basically also do the preparatory work for the I think we're all fed up as well with because everyone is talking about chatbot. The EVRs, you have press 1 for English. I mean, those are horrible as well. If you can just pick up the phone and you just say, I have an issue with my I don't know, fire insurance. This is the address, etc. This is the police number, and then it arrives to the employee. Then you have probably gained 5 minutes into the conversation in which he can help other customers afterwards. So I think on that side, everything that's related to accessibility, there is really a lot to do. I think some of the banks we are piloting personal assistants and chatbots that are, in my view, and I use a lot of them just to screen the market as well, far ahead on the service that other Belgian and even international companies are delivering them. So I think that's one. And I think one I believe in a lot too is the capability to basically deliver guidance to customers. And if you see nowadays the guidance private and wealth customers receive, it's not scalable as a model. I mean, you can't do that for the 2 million, 3 million customers you have. It is just that you need to multiply the number of full-time equivalents drastically. But if you see the way you can now create content and use editors to, for example, at the end of the week, give you an overview of what happened with your investment portfolio, I think there is really also for the customer a lot of benefit in it. And that's why I think the way I look to Gen AI is more from this customer perspective than from an efficiency perspective. Because I think if you put it on a customer's perspective, the efficiency will follow anyway. And if you take the other angle, then you will just create the most lean process for the bank or for the insurance, but the experience will be far off. So I think that's the way we look at it and try to implement.
Before you hand over the mic, can have the mic, I'm going to ask some interaction here, Tom. Can you say about that part?
Important to know is that we're working on Andy with 6 banks, and this is one of the prime reasons. It's the marriage between the procedures that you have in the bank and also hyper customization. So I need to refresh. There is a timeout here. So we're working, for instance, exactly on this problem with UBS. So I'm going to try to, for instance.
I'm Andy. I'm a digital human designed for Dell Technologies. How can I help you today?
So Andy is always optimistic that it's not only about the content that she supplies, but it's also about the way how she can adapt, hyper customize to each individual. So I'll give an example of that. Hey Andy, I want to teach my kids that saving is important. Can you please tell me a fairy tale about that, please?
I'd love to help. How about a story about a clever squirrel who learns the value of saving nuts for the winter?
Please go ahead, tell me that fairy tale about saving.
Once upon a time, in a beautiful forest, there lived a clever squirrel named Sammy. Sammy loved to play and explore, but he also knew the importance of being prepared for the future. Every day, he would gather extra nuts and store them in a secret hiding place. His friends would often tease him, saying, "Why do you work so hard to save all those nuts, Sammy? You have plenty to eat now."
Hey, thanks, Andy.
Thanks for that, great. Do you want to add something to that, or we go on back to the humans? Yeah, there we go. So,
or need assistance with anything else,
do you want to add something on chatbots and interfaces? So go ahead, you're allowed to interrupt the bots. Oh, no etiquette there. All right, thank you.
I'm not sure I understand your question.
Sorry, Andy, we're going to ignore you.
Should we live out?
Yeah.
But just want to all have to confirm that I think we need to take it from a customer perspective. But that's also a challenge in the sense that what we see, if we provide chatbot-alike type of services, and we really think that we can nail it on in the right way, and there's a big difference between the, let's say, the segment of the high digital mature type of customers, but there's also customers that are to some extent still, from an accessibility perspective, absolutely want to go to a branch or absolutely want to go to somebody they know, and so it's I think it will take a bit of time before this will be really kind of universal type of experience.
I think one thing I can add is the periods of great stress, you see the human behavior shifting. I think we all remember the floodings in the southern part of the country a couple of years ago. And we have a chatbot solution in which you can declare damage. So it's for if there's a flooding. And in the beginning, we saw exactly the same. We saw like the digitally mature people using it, and otherwise they preferred still to call and deal it with a human. Until that time came that like everyone was calling at the same time because everyone's house was flooded and they wanted to pass through their and all of a sudden we went to 78% of all the damage declared in that month that went through the chatbot. And now basically you need that one-time moment to make that shift in customer behavior. And now, without divulging any secrets, we have more chats than calls in our contact center. So I think it is also like basically the getting used to it, and sometimes you just need an event to like shift a bit the customer behavior.
More questions. It's probably going to be the last one. Alessandra, go ahead.
So I've read the report before. So
insider information alerts.
Exactly. So no, for me was amongst the challenges, and I'm looking at the banks again, but I think also the fintechs could answer. One of the challenges, of course, and we heard about it earlier on with Nico, is also the fact the adoption side. The human side, not just the consumers the customers having to use this AI, get used to it, but also internally, they don't know that they're using it, they don't know how to use it, and we saw the super nice, of course, we're talking about developers, they love playing with their tools, their toys. What do you do for the others? I mean, we're really sad tonight because the speaker from ETIAS also, she mentioned in the report that it's very much used as an exoskeleton for you and your colleagues. So, how do you see this, and how will this adoption be held?
I'll go first because I'm holding the mic. No, I think the way we approach it is the first thing, of course, is awareness, and that's why I was quite confident that I could do the 40 slides in 10 minutes because I did similar kind of presentations over and over again. So I think me and my team, what we do a lot is we started at board of directors and management board level. And we're working our way through the company to basically have a slide deck of 180 slides to basically just explain what is AI, especially what is not AI, and it's not magic, and to really educate them. I think that's the first thing. And the second thing we did is to implement our own Belfius GPT within the firewall, because of course from security perspective, we wanted to have a shielded off version as quickly as possible to put into the hands of all the employees. I asked every member of my AI team to liberate himself a few hours each month to give trainings to other colleagues. So we have, for all newcomers, we have a fixed training program, which we are gradually also working our way through the bank. And we tagged along to other initiatives. So we have leadership initiatives for every team manager, etc. In which now half a day is divulged to AI. And I think we did something similar with mobile banking in the beginning. Because in the beginning, when mobile apps came, we had a lot of pushback especially from branches, because they were like, "Oh, you're going to replace everyone in the branches and whatever." So we did a lot of education on that part to explain what are apps, what's our mobile banking app, what our vision, how can you use it, etc. And as a result, we now have, and you saw it on the first slide, we have over 2 million mobile app users, meaning 80% of our customer base is using our app. We were one of the fastest to grow to that number, even worldwide. And that's just because we used the education part, and that's what we're doing right now. And as I said, prompt training, giving the right prompts is an art. And I think the people in my team, and for the record, not me, but they're really artists the way they can do certain things. But I think, like with the real painters, only a few of them are born with it in their fingers. All the rest, you can still be a decent painter if you get educated and do it a lot. And I think that's a bit the approach we are doing. We have centralized, really specialized specialists, and they are working all the brilliant use cases, etc. But we need to train all the others so they can also paint their way through AI in the future.
I think it's a tremendous effort that we need to do to really accompany people. So Copilot is, for example, a product that probably is well adopted by many of you. But if you need to roll this out in quite some scale across the organization, for some people it's not evident still. It's like a macro in Excel, and so if you don't have a full education program, a full accompaniment, having some ambassadors in the various departments of the organization, people might be very excited that they get the kind of license, but they can be very often disappointed rapidly if it's not that accompaniment. So it really needs to be foreseen in the plan.
Yeah, just maybe quickly, I'm going to say the same kind of things. You know, our customers are very different because they're all banks, financial institutions, and some corporates. But getting the customers to kind of use our applications, we've been doing a lot of kind of demos and trainings. And then also internally, I think we could probably do a better job of kind of doing more trainings with the internal people so they use it as well.
Thanks, Chris. And maybe just to build on, I think one of the slides I saw earlier about what Europe is good at versus Asia and the rest of the world is. There's a very interesting WEF, World Economic Forum, report about the correlation between education and awareness and trust. And it's all about, it's actually created in the context of AI. And so Asia, North America are miles ahead. Europe is seriously lagging behind. So first of all, awareness is trust. The second thing, I'll finish on a bit of self-promotion, but one of my other day jobs is actually doing awareness trading for boards, and I've had a huge amount of pickup and interest in just very basic AI training for banks and insurers, mainly in Ireland, as you can tell from my accent. So that's kind of the part of my time. So there is, amongst the leaders in a lot of these very important financial institutions, there still is an awful lot of way to go and distance to go before trust and awareness, but also then the related investment is put behind training, which is something that you have to convince these boards to do. Invest in awareness, invest in training.
I have the last intervention. Nobody's asking questions. You all want to go to the barbecue. So Jos, summarize all of this. Go ahead.
Well, I'm not so good at summarizing, but you mentioned one important, so education obviously is key, but simultaneously, like ambassadors that you mentioned, is extremely important as well, so that people who understand their own context can explain it to people who work in the same context. And we realize, we notice this a lot. Our platform does use AI, but it's also used to manage AI. We, for instance, rolled it out at HSBC globally, like hundreds, thousands of users. The only way to do it as a fintech was not to have people educate everyone because we didn't have the time, but really find those use cases that are representative, that are easy to add value, train a few people, a few ambassadors there, and then have those people spread how they use it.
Can I ask a question to you guys from FinTech Belgium?
Yes,
because as you are all, and I see Bjorn as well, very well connected as well, I think there was also something you can help us with, because when you're speaking about education, I spend some of my time in Dubai, where I know, and India is the same, where people, students between the age of 12 and 18 are receiving prompt training at school, are being educated in AI. I think next to lagging and only being good at in regulation, I think we can quite quickly lag in AI talent as well within Belgium and Europe. And I think it's something I've been trying to be vocal about against other business leader influencers and politicians. I think we need to drastically integrate AI into our education system to not have a problem within the next 5 to 10 years. So if you guys as an organization could help us with that, then that would be gladly appreciated.
For the organization, I can say yes, but I'm going to, for the answer, I'm going to go for the academic answer. Joran teaches at Vlering, so tell us, how do you teach your students now?
Well, I couldn't agree. Yeah, I couldn't agree more, and that's why last year we changed our Master in General Management towards a Master in Data and Analytics. That's why we're including AI in every basic course that we have in every education. Basically, we are from Direct transforming all our programs and including AI and sustainability in every core course, whether you do strategy, whether you do finance, whether you do supply chain management. Those are the two red threads throughout every of those basic courses. So yes, I think it's extremely important. You don't need to be a specialist, but you need to at least understand what specialists are talking about. I did my PhD at the time on business IT alignment. When I finished in 1997, people said, that's an old topic, yeah? We're done, we're there. I don't think it's ever been as actual as today. We still need it more than alignment, sure is helpful. Absolutely. So that's it. But I have one final question. One final one. I'm going to completely ignore my chairman here. Because yesterday there was a Professor Felix Ansel in the TED who said, a critical article on AI, where is AI's big leap forward? And I thought it was a very, very important question. There's a million use cases we can all think of, small productivity gains here and there. But 5 to 10 years from now, what will have been the big leap forward that you see?
I see that Anthony's going to take that one. We're going to solve the barbecue. Go ahead, Anthony.
In fact, I want to counter this the question because I think you're absolutely right. In the sense that if you look towards the use applications that we saw, and it can be transformative if you have a kind of productivity gain because you automate 20-30%, if you have a kind of customer experience that is really delightful. This incremental / transformative stuff, but it's not changing the fundamentals of what we as a bank are doing right now. And I remember the first iPhone was in 2007. I think one of the first killer apps was the flashlight. So it has taken probably 3-4 years before Uber was created as a kind of example of a company that really embraced the full potential of the smartphone and had a kind of new business model. And knowing that it was 45 billion euro invested into all types of startups the last year in AI startups, it would be great that one of the startups which is really fundamentally changing a bit models, products, is to really meet them and see them, because I think most of the state of the AI in the industry is effectively rather incremental than transformative in the real sense.
Please join me with these grace end remarks for all our speakers of tonight, our panelists. I'm going to ask Alessandra to come on stage. You can either stay seated, that way you will have less heat being released. I'm going to stand here. We have some big announcements and we go up. I promise you, it's an open floor. You'll be outdoor. 1 more minute of your attention and body heat. Keep it for yourself. Alessandra, pick up.
Thank you. Just to finish on your question that you asked earlier on, it's also, I think, about the ecosystem, the collaborative ecosystem, and this is really mon dada, as I say, is really to get everyone around the table, from the regulators, the government, the banks, the insurance companies, the academics, and having the fintechs and everyone around the table to collaborate and to share, communicate. That's our motto: connect, collaborate, and innovate. And it's definitely the way forward. You were saying education. It's about being all here under the same roof and hearing about each other and learning about each other. So yeah, that's my motto. I don't know where to stand. So we, for those who don't know us, we are FinTech Belgium. I'm the CEO at the moment. So for some weeks, I don't know where David is actually hiding. Yay! Come here. So I will be joining very soon the board of FinTech Belgium. I'm leaving my role exactly as a CEO, and David is going to replace me very soon. He's our deputy CEO, a woman. Welcome to him. Thank you. And so just to quickly explain what we are, who we are the association, non-profit association by and for fintechs active in Belgium. We represent more than 120 fintechs active in Belgium: RegTech, InsurTech, WealthTech, PayTech, you name it. We have 6 pillars. One of them was indeed education and talent. Incubation, we count on partners like banks, like tech companies, like Dell and so on, Accenture, who's our main partner, and Sailpeak, for instance, as well, to be able to support our ecosystem in terms of incubation, but also acceleration. And when I say acceleration, it's really acceleration of the whole industry. So what we want is to bring you to the table to connect, collaborate, and innovate. So whenever you have a challenge, come to us and we will help you by putting the right people around the table. Many other things we promote. We have a magazine that you can find outside. I was this morning, I'm not feeling hot because I was at 40 degrees this morning in Romania, representing our ecosystem. But I'm not going to hold you for much longer. The next date, super important. We're going to organize a back-to-school networking event end of August. We have a long series of bi-weekly breakfasts. Really, just like some members, fintechs coming to pitch. Last time we just picked a topic like risk management. Come chat. It's 20, 40 people maximum. It's very informal and really a nice format. Can we go back?
No, we can't.
Yes, thank you. No, you're going too fast. So we're going to have our next meetups are going to be on FIDA, another hot topic, and a meetup on embedded finance for CFOs that we're going to organize with FD Magazine. So as I said, collaboration is super important. And then our biggest event of the year, the Digital Finance Summit. If you want to come to one event a year in Belgium, this is the place to be. It is on the 6th of December. We had already more than 600 people last year. We have 4 stages. We have a European FinTech pitch battle on stage 2. We have an exhibition hall with 30, 40 companies from very small to very big, and everyone is there. So don't miss that event. And we have already some super early birds available online. And and otherwise, if you want to follow us, follow our website. You can subscribe to a calendar of events. And as I said, we do also a lot of promotion. You can follow us on YouTube. We have a podcast, and it's going too fast. So
I'm reading the room here.
No one can. And also, if you want to work in fintech, if you want to move career and come to fintechs as well, we have a career board where we have thousands of jobs from our members. Thank you, Toon. As I said, we couldn't be doing this without our partners, and we are really looking for other partners, because the more we are, the merrier, of course, and the more value we can bring to everyone. So if you are interested in partnering up, here is your guy now. Am I allowed to?
Yes, you're allowed. He is going to give the outro, close the sauna, and open the barbecue. Go ahead, David.
Okay. We need you all to register for the DFS. It's like Money 2020, but better. and way cheaper. So make sure you'll take a booth. We have numerous partnerships still open. Do we still have a main partner still open? We'll have a bidding system for it. No, joking aside, great seeing you all here. Thank you very much, and enjoy the barbecue.
Thank you very much, everybody. We'll mingle upstairs. Go get some fresh air. Third floor, just follow the crowd. You'll make it. Fresh drinks, fresh